This is Super Yacht News with E. Sisman.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. So we've got a lot of stuff going on today. So I'm going to jump straight in here. First story is we got contacted on Monday. This happened in real time. A chap on a cruise ship was sailing through the English Channel. He sent me some photographs of a yacht. He said, "Look at this yacht. It's following us." He said, "But I can't find it on AIS." And I could see it was Al Lusail. And so this vessel, Al Lusail, belongs to the Emir of Qatar. His name is Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. So the vessel was in Norway at the weekend. Now, I don't know whether the fact that the press in Norway publicized his visit, because it was a private visit, it wasn't a state visit, apparently. And the fact that they publicized the visit may have ended up with the vessel doing what they did here. But the chap on the cruise ship sent me some videos, as you can see here, and he was saying that it's not showing on AIS, this was happening in real time. So I was the first one to get the message. So I was checking online, and I couldn't find it on AIS either, on Marine Traffic or Vessel Finder, etc. What I can see is that the vessel is still officially, according to AIS, still in Kristiansand in Norway. So that was a bit of a strange one. The chap who was on board the cruise ship also said that the vessel, the yacht, seemed to be shadowing them for a long time until it went dark, and then they turned off and disappeared. Not sure where the vessel is right now, but I've had it on good authority that the vessel's heading to Gibraltar. So hopefully we'll have someone in Gibraltar filming when the vessel actually gets in there. Actually, the footage you're seeing right now of Al Lusail is filmed in Gibraltar from a previous time. This is from Gibraltar Yachting. So I'll put a link in the description. Go and give him a follow. He gets all the boats coming through because he's right there in Gibraltar, and he gets them when they head out to the Caribbean and when they come back in, and because very often they go to Gibraltar to refuel, you see. So give him a follow, and you'll see some great yachts on that channel. Okay, so let's move on. So as you probably know, if you've been watching the mainstream news, it's been very hot in Europe and in the UK, up to 40 degrees in the UK it was at one point. And also in Europe, across Europe, France, Italy's been very hot. And so hot, in fact, that some boats have just burst into flames. I don't know whether it's got anything to do with the heat, but it could actually be that they're just, some of these vessels are overheating. So there was, in Croatia, there was two small yachts that actually caught fire. One of them was caught on camera, and it was on its way to Split in Croatia. And the vessel, the report was that the two crew on board the yacht recognized that the engine was on fire. They had an engine fire, and they did the fire suppression to put it out, but it didn't extinguish the blaze. There were two tourists on board, apparently US citizens as well. Anyway, they all got removed from the vessel to safety to another boat, and then, as you can see in the video footage here, a passing vessel actually got a fire crew out and started to put water onto that boat. The boat, they never put it out though, and the boat eventually sank. I mean, in a situation like that, it's either going to just burn up and sink, or the weight of all the water on top of it will make it sink anyway. So yeah, so that's unfortunate. But the good news is nobody was injured. So we'll move on to the next story now. So in the last video, I did a story on Motor Yacht DIlbar, and I said that it was being uncovered, and I said it's possibly being moved. I contacted Lurssen at the time, or one of the team contacted Lurssen, and we eventually, after we actually put that video out, we got contacted by a spokesperson, and they weren't able to give us too much information, but this is what they said. I'll read it out. They said, "We are pleased to inform you that work is currently being carried out on the yacht DIlbar to ensure the safety of the ship, the shipyard, and the environment. The current work has been reported to the responsible authorities in advance and has been checked and approved by them." And that's all they had to say on the subject. They didn't say whether it was being moved or anything else. We asked a few questions, but they didn't get back to us on those other questions. But it's kind of understandable because the questions were more to do with about, are they expanding the crew and stuff like that, and they're kind of like, it's not the kind of thing that a shipyard would normally talk about, but you got to ask the questions, right? So that was just a quick update to tell you what the Lurssen are saying, that they're doing things on the vessel that out of necessity for the safety of the vessel and the shipyard. So not really sure what that means, but we'll continue watching and we'll see if it actually does go back in the water, and we'll bring it to you when we have it. Okay, so this story is quite an interesting one. It's still a developing story as well, but sources tell me that Imperial Yachts have actually closed their office in Monaco. Now, Imperial Yachts I've mentioned them quite a lot over the last few months, and they are basically, they're a yacht management company, but they almost exclusively do work for Russian yachts. Now, the company was founded in Russia by a chap called Eugene Kochman, and then they moved to Monaco. I don't know whether they still have an office in Russia, but on their website, it just shows the Monaco address. This company, they were the ones that brought us Project Thunder, Project Lightning. They were the management company during the build of both of those yachts. They become Crescent and Charizard. And they're also managing motor yacht Amadea. Now, this is why I had so much contact with them, because I was contacting them back and forth to find out information about the ongoing court cases and stuff like that in Fiji with Amadea. Flying Fox is another boat that they manage. But sometimes I would contact them and say, do you manage this vessel? Because they're so secretive. Like, we don't even have a list of the vessels that they manage. But anyway, the story is that they've actually closed, or they're closing their offices in Monaco. And this would seem that it is as a result of the US placing sanctions on the company. Now, the sources tell us that they were asked to leave Monaco. They couldn't give me any more details other than that, but most likely I'm not gonna guess who asked them, but I think it's quite obvious to anyone who's watching, that it's going to come from the authorities, isn't it? Once we got wind of this story, we contacted our normal contacts at Imperial, the spokesperson, the lawyer, all of these people. Also the basic email address, the press email address, even their Instagram account. Not a reply from any of those addresses over the last few days. So we've not had any reply back to either. Normally, in the past, I would say I heard the story and I would get a threatening email back telling me there was going to be legal action if I went with that story, because it's not true. But I've not had anything back from them to deny anything or to confirm anything. If you go to their website, as you can see here, the website is still up. It still has the Monaco address on it, but there's apparently nobody in the office in Monaco. Now, the sources have also told me that Mr. Kochman, the guy who started the company, who's apparently, I think he's the CEO. I don't know what his position is, his title is, but he runs the company. And I've been told that he has moved to Turkey, and he's starting operations in Turkey apparently. Now, that's not really a surprise, is it? Because almost all of the Russian vessels are now in Turkey, so it's understandable that he's gone there, because if he's been asked to leave Monaco, where else would you go at this point? Because we don't know how long this is going to go on for, and those vessels are all entrenched in Turkey. There's actually a story on the Boat International website recently. They talked to superyacht owners, and they asked one of them if they'd been to Turkey recently, and they said yes, they passed through Turkey, but it was absolutely full of every Russian superyacht that you can name. They're all in Turkey. So yeah, it's quite interesting. I'll bring you more when we get more on that story. So stay tuned. Okay, last thing before I go. The last video we did a bit about this yacht that sped through a small strait in Norway. The vessel was called Big Beaver. Much to the amusement of many of the people in the comments section. There were a couple of funny comments, and there was another comment I'm gonna address here. One of the comments is that I noticed Big Beaver is registered in KY. That was quite funny. KY is Cayman Islands, by the way, if you're wondering, but yeah, that's quite funny. And there were quite a few people that came up with a comment of the reason why the vessel was going so fast to raise the vessel up so they could get through without hitting the bottom. And one comment said, up on a plane to reduce draft to clear the shallows, no, not showboating. Well, that might be the case, but the fact is, if there's a 5-knot speed limit on that strait and you come through at 25 knots, which what it looked like in that video, then you're speeding. So if you can't get through without speeding, then your vessel shouldn't be going through there. So that is not an excuse for that, what was happening. Okay, so the last thing, which is obviously I don't know this because I don't speak Norwegian, but one person said that when you showed the Big Beaver on the map, it said in the destination, and it had this in the destination. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. And in Norwegian, that means drink beer. So the destination on AIS, instead of having a place, said drink beer. So they were heading to drink beer, apparently. So that gives you an insight into the mindset of the person that was setting that AIS destination, right? Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any information about any of these stories or any other stories, you can contact us through the normal ways, through the About page of YouTube. You can get us on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger, and you can get us on Threema. Threema is completely encrypted and completely anonymous. You don't need a phone number or an email to sign up, so you can send us information through there. You can type in this code here or scan this barcode here to get through to us directly. Please be sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the bell for future notifications. Over 60% of all viewers are not subscribers, so please sign up right now. If you're not happy, I'll give you a complete refund. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye. If you've got any information, get me through the normal contacts About page of YouTube. You can get me on Instagram. You can get me on, what's the other one? You can get me on, oh, crap. Ugh.